Howdy folks. So I've been getting a number of requests to make an episode about how to make map animations like Johnny Harris. So Johnny is a journalist who used to work over at Vox. Now he has his own YouTube channel where he's making insanely high quality documentaries. In today's episode, I'm going to be focusing on this animation that I saw in his episode about Skid Row, where there's this beautiful zoom in to the city of Los Angeles. Now I actually started putting together this tutorial about a month ago, and then the craziest thing happened. I got contacted by Johnny's producer, and he was asking if I'd like to create some map animations on an upcoming episode on Johnny's channel. Naturally, I said yes. It was the coolest opportunity, coolest experience. I got to create like 7 or 8 animations for the Why Indonesia is Always Erupting episode, which just came out, I think, last week. I got to do the intro globe spinning animation that they used for the thumbnail. I did a plate tectonics explainer piece, and then I did a bunch of earth zooms. So go check it out, and it's really cool, and I hope I get more chances to work on Johnny's channel. That would be so amazing. So go over there, check out that video, maybe leave a comment about how amazing my animations are so I can get another job there. All right, let's get into it. All right, I'm here inside of Google Earth Studio. I'm gonna click on Blank Project. We'll call it Skid Row, and I'm gonna set the resolution to Ultra HD 4K, and I'm gonna switch the duration to show timecode instead of frames, and I want it to be a 5-second animation, and then I'll switch the frame rate to 24 frames per second because I'm a filmmaker, frankly. And click on Start. Now, if your interface looks different from mine, you can go to View, select Multi-View, and then switch it to 2 viewports, and then on the left here, switch the angle to top. Now I want to zoom in to this hotel, so I'm going to type the name of the hotel into the search bar here, double click and hold to kind of, navigate around it. What I want to do is I want my camera to animate around this hotel. So I'm going to right click on the top of it here and select Set Camera Target. That's going to add the camera target. Over here you can see it. But what's cool about this is now I can zoom out here and I can just grab the camera and I can move it around. Now you can see I can move it all around this hotel. Makes it really easy to animate. So if we look at our original animation here, you can see that the angle is kind of off from this direction. Now I'm gonna change the camera position altitude. I'm gonna change that to 1,000 meters. Okay, this looks like a good kind of starting place here. As soon as I added that camera target, it added the camera target attribute or parameter group down here. So don't get this confused with your camera position attributes. It's very easy to confuse these two. And you'll also notice that as soon as you add a camera target, it makes your camera rotation lock down. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this. You can't manually change these because those need to change in order to keep your camera target in the middle of the frame. All right, for the first step, I'm gonna do this little left to right animation where it's slowly moving from left to right, orbiting around. So we'll start somewhere over here. I'm gonna add a keyframe, and then I'll go to the end at 5 seconds, and I'll just drag the camera, somewhere around here, and we'll add another keyframe. And sure enough, what did I tell you? I told you to be aware of not animating camera target, and then I went and did it. So let's go ahead and add this here. Then I'm gonna just animate this camera position, not camera target. Okay, so we've got this slow movement left to right. Now I want to animate the zoom in. So I can do this with camera position as well, but there's another attribute. If I click on Add Attributes, there's a Field of View parameter here. So I'm going to click on this. That adds the parameter to my timeline. Down here, Camera Lens Field of View. Now it's defaults to 20 degrees. So if I bring it up, it makes it more wide angle. If I bring it down, it makes it more telephoto. Let's go ahead and animate this. I'll bring it playhead to the beginning. We'll start at 20 degrees, and then I'll go into maybe a 4-second mark, and I'll bring this down to like 4 degrees. Now check this out. Now we got the orbit slow move, and we got the zoom in. And it's looking rather clunky, so what I can do is I can go move my mouse and hover it right over field of view, click. That's gonna switch to the graph editor. You can switch between speed graph and value graph. I'm gonna right click on the keyframe here, do ease out, right click here and do ease in. And now I can shift and hold this, and this will, have it kind of animate quickly at first and then slow down. So let's bring this down even more. Keep tweaking it till you get it the way you like it. All right, that's looking pretty good. I also want the hotel to be more in the center. It's kind of centering on the top of the building. So I can actually animate the camera target. So I'm gonna go to the altitude of this, and we'll have it set to 123 meters. That's fine. But then once it gets over here, once it gets to the end of the field of view animation, we want this to go down to 100 meters. Now let's take a look. Okay, so the movements are looking pretty good now, but I noticed that the lighting here is looking, it doesn't really match up with the original. So if I go to click on Add Attributes, you'll notice there's a time of day. This allows me to change the position of the sun. Very cool. So I'm going to turn this on. Immediately it goes to night. That's not what I want. Now a quick way to change the lighting is to hold the Shift key as you shuttle this, and it's going to allow you to go through the whole day here. You can see the shadows are changing on the building. So in the original, the shadows are kind of on the left here, and it kind of has this yellow, it kind of has like a tint here, like it's just after sunrise or something. So I'm going to try to match that as best as possible. Okay, so this is almost there. The only thing I need to do now, since I'm going to be incorporating motion graphics that I'm going to composite inside of After Effects, I need to add track points here in Google Earth Studio. So when I export it and bring it into Adobe After Effects knows where I want to put those graphics so that they match the camera movements. There's three graphic elements. We have the circle that kind of animates on around the hotel. Then we have the title of the hotel, which is right next to it. And then we have that big Skid Row title. Let me just try to navigate around here. And you can see as soon as I start to move around manually, it disables the camera target. So I'm not messing up any of the keyframes here. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to actually right click right where my camera target is and set a track point. And we'll call this the hotel circle track point. And then I'll go right over here, maybe to the left is where I want. I'll do it on top of one of these buildings here as well. Set track point, and I want this to be the hotel title. And be wary that you can click on here and you can see the altitude. So we want the altitude to kind of match here. Because wherever you click, Google Earth Studio is going to try to read the altitude of that. So if I click on the top of the building, it's going to read the altitude of the top of the building. If I click on a street, it's going to read the altitude of the street. So it's going to place your graphic in Z space to correlate or to match that. So be aware of that. Now, the main graphic here, maybe if I come around here and we look at it this way, I can see my camera. I want maybe that to be, let's say somewhere like right over here. I can add the track point here as well. And we can say Skid Row title track point. I'm just calling these track points because it brings these in as layers in After Effects and it makes it easier to kind of see that those are track points. All right, my track points are in place. My camera movement animation's all set up. Now I just need to render this out. So I'm gonna go click on the render button and we'll call this Skid Row. I have the destination set here. I can change the position of the attribution if I want. Now down here is where it has the 3D tracking data, and I definitely want to export this as a script file. And now I'm going to click on Start. All right, so I've got it all rendered out and I have my script file here. I have my footage folder that has my image sequence. So these are all the different images which I can bring into Adobe After Effects. Now I could easily import this, but this script file gets the whole project set up and it's super easy to use. So let me show you how this works. I'm here inside of Adobe After Effects, and I'm going to go to File and select Scripts, Run Script File, and then I'm going to go find that Skid Row script file, double click, and that's going to set up everything for me right here. So it's going to create a new comp, and let me show you what's going on here. It's got a camera, and it's all animated to match the camera inside of Google Earth Studio, which is really cool. It's got my image sequence here, and it's got my 3 track points. These are no layers here, and it added or created these 3 text elements and then attach them to those. So if I watch the animation, you're going to see that these text elements are attached here. Now this isn't very useful. I'm going to recreate my text elements from scratch and then attach them manually so you can see how that works. Now I have a problem right away, and it's the fact that my image sequence is not the same length as my comp, which doesn't make much sense because this is a 5-second comp. Why isn't it linked? And this has to do with a frame rate issue. So if you look up here in the project panel at the preview area, you can see with this image sequence selected, it's set to 30 frames per second. Now this is how After Effects default imports image sequences. It selects 30 frames per second. So what I can do to change this is right click and go to Interpret Footage, and I'm going to select Main, and I need to set it to my project settings, my Google Earth Studio project settings, which if you remember from the beginning of this tutorial, I had it set to 24. So if your frame rates are not set correctly, your null points will not track properly. So I'm going to click OK, and that's going to reset this, and now I can drag this out and everything should match up. If you're working in a different frame rate a lot, you can select to change this in the preferences. So you go to Edit Preferences, and then you go to the Import section, and here you can manually set your frame rate right in this section that says Sequence Footage. Right now it's set to 30 frames per second, so I could obviously change that to 24 if I'm going to be working with a lot of 24 FPS sequences. All right. So this is looking good. Now I'm going to create these 3 graphic elements and connect everything up so that they're comped into this animation. I'm going to grab the text tool and I'm going to type out the name of the hotel here. And I'm going to go select my font and I'm going to isolate this so I can see what's going on. Now I'm going to center this in the comp. I'm going to do this pretty quickly here because I don't want this tutorial to be like 2 hours. Now I'm going to grab the rectangle shape tool, and it has a simple white fill with no stroke. And I'm gonna quickly create something here. Let's center it out, zero out the position here. And I'll rename this, call it text background, because we're gonna do some animation here. I'm gonna grab the text and put it over it. We wanna center this up here. Now a quick way to center these is I can grab the text kind of by the middle and hold Control, and that's gonna snap it. That'll snap it and align it much faster than using the Align panel. And now I'll kind of rough these in. Okay, now I want my text background shape element to kind of have this X or width scale, and I want it to reveal the text at the same time. So to do that, I'm going to duplicate the text background. I'm going to bring the duplicate above, and I'm going to rename it text matte. And I'm going to hit S for scale, and I'm going to hit S for scale on text background. Now I'm going to turn off constrained proportions for both, and then I'm going to pick whip the text matte to the text background. So now I can just animate the text background and the text matte will follow. So I don't have to animate twice as much. So now I'll come over here to maybe 2.5 seconds. I'll add a scale keyframe. Actually, I'll bring that out. And then I'll set the X or the width to 0. And now this is gonna animate out like this. And you can see that both shapes are doing that. I'm gonna add some easy ease, and then I'll just quickly with the graph editor give it a little bit of a curve here. To make this animation complete, I am going to toggle the switches and modes button here so I can see the track matte, and I'm going to grab the text element, and under track matte column, I'm going to select alpha matte. All right, so this graphic is looking good. Now I want to kind of comp it and have it follow along with the camera, the 3D environment. So I'm going to turn the focus off for both of these. And actually, before that, I'm going to grab both the text background and the text matte, and I'm going to pick whip them and use the text layer as the parent. So now any adjustments I make to the parent, both of those will follow along. Now I'm going to grab all 3 of these. I'm going to toggle switches and modes to go back, and I'm going to turn 3D on. Now watch what happens when I hit the 3D switch here. It disappears. And that's because it gets lost in this crazy 3D land of Google Earth Studio comp, which as you will see, the 3D space is quite vast here. So I'm going to grab the text element here, and what I need to do is I need to attach this to my track point, which I want the hotel title track point. So I'm going to go ahead and pick whip that to that one. Okay, still nothing. So what's going on? Well, I'm going to open up the transformation properties, and I need to reset them now. If you look, I need to reset the anchor point, the position, and the orientation. So remember that. So my anchor point's already at 0. So I'm going to reset the position here and here. Now look at this Z number here. It's like in the millions. It's so high. So as soon as I hit 0 here, it's going to bring this into place. It's still very much out of whack here. I'm going to 0 out the orientation, which is going to make that flat. And then I'm going to scale it down to 10% or 15. And now I'm going to change the X rotation or the orientation here. I'm going to make it 90 so that it's perfectly up like that. Now I can actually zoom in and let's see if I can rotate this on the Y here. I can use the orientation, or I can just grab the new gizmo here. This gizmo is totally tubular. And I'll just kind of spin it around like that. Okay, now that's in place, and if I move, it should move with the camera. Now let's take a look. All right, it is moving there. It's looking really good. Now I just need to blend it in here. So I'm going to switch back to the blend modes, and I'm going to grab that text background, that white, and I want to set the blend mode to difference. And that'll give me kind of a similar look to what they had going on in Johnny's documentary. So that graphic's good to go. Now I want to create the circle around the hotel. So we're going to kind of do the same process here. I'm going to go grab the shape tool. I'm going to grab the ellipse tool this time, and I'm going to turn off the fill, and I'm going to turn on the stroke. And we want to set the stroke, 15 is perfectly fine. Now I'm just going to quickly draw a shape here. And now I want to do the same thing. I want to center this out. So I'm going to go to the transformation properties of the actual shape element and zero that out. I know there's a faster way, but I keep forgetting how to do it. Then I'm going to rename it circle. And now I'm going to quickly add a, let's add a trim paths animator. And now I can just animate the end of this. So I have it animate on. So I'm going to add a keyframe here at a 100%, and then we'll come back here and 0%. And then I'll add some easy ease and also mess with the value graph a little bit, or the speed graph. Okay, so that's animating on. Maybe I can go in here and tweak it a little bit, make the stroke line cap round, and also offset it a little bit maybe, just so it's not perfectly, I can offset it like this. Okay, now I need to, same way I did with the hotel title, I'm gonna bring it into the 3D world. So I'm gonna toggle back here, and I'm gonna hit the 3D button, and now I'm gonna parent it to the circle track point. And now dive down here, reset anchor point position and orientation. And then I need to resize it. Actually, I'm gonna set the orientation X at 90, okay. That's way too huge, so let's set this scale to 15, see what that looks like. That's looking good, but we don't want it, actually, let's first see if it's tracking with the camera. It is, but I want it to kind of cover more of the entire hotel. It's just kind of focusing on the roof now. So I can go grab the circle element and using the gizmo, can bring it down here a little bit, maybe even over a little bit to get the name in there. I'll go back and switch this blend mode to difference as well. And then maybe even pump the stroke up a little. Maybe we can change the size of it as well. Let me see if I can bump up the size to maybe 350 or 400. All right, last but not least, I need to add that Skid Row main title. And not sure if this is gonna work, if that track point's in the right spot. I guess we're gonna find out. So I'm gonna do the same steps here, grab the text tool and type out Skid Row. And same kind of deal, I'm gonna go grab, create a text background with a fill, no stroke, and text background. Let's kind of isolate these. I don't need to animate this with the matte, so this won't take quite as long. If you happen to know the shortcut to automatically center up your anchor point of your shape element, let me know in the comment section because I keep forgetting it. All right, now I'm gonna zoom in here. Let's once again center this using Control Snap. That's one of my favorite shortcuts. And I'm going to pick whip the background to the text, and we'll turn off isolation here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and flip on 3D for both of these, and then grab the text, and I'm going to parent the text element to the Skid Row title track point, and then I'm gonna reset the transformation options, and we're gonna see if we messed up or not. Okay, do we see it? Uh-oh, I think we messed up. Yeah, well, here it is right here, so maybe we can just bring it into frame here. Orientation, put the orientation back to 90. Okay, it looks like it just, the altitude's a little low. Hopefully, if I bring up in Z position here, or the Y position, there it is. Okay, so we can bring this up and maybe gizmo it so that it is right about here. And I don't think this is gonna cause too much drift. And then I can scale it down as well. So let's see, 50. And then I'm gonna make sure that text background blend mode is set to difference as well. Difference. Okay, this isn't working. And you know, look at what else happened. We lost our track matte on this layer, and I think it's because I named this one text background as well. So I think if we call this text background 2, yeah, wonky stuff. So you know what, I'm gonna try something different real quick. Hopefully it'll work. I'm going to attach the Skid Row main title to this, and then maybe just try to shift it a little bit. So what we'll do is let's just see if we can unparent it and then reparent it back to the circle track point. And let's see what happens here. And then we'll zero it out again. Okay, so it's gonna be right here. Set this to 90. Now, maybe, just maybe, if I grab this and let's go to the end here, and we want it to be just out of frame when it comes, whoa, it's very sensitive. Something like right there. This has me really curious now if they use the field of view to do this zoom or if they actually animated the camera. This is looking much better. All right, for a final step, I'm just gonna add an adjustment layer and quickly throw, you know, a vignette, maybe punch it up with some color correction. And then I'm just gonna scale this up a little bit higher and turn on motion blur. All right, there we go. All right, so there you have it. There is my animation, how to make maps like Johnny Harris. So once again, amazing content over on Johnny's channel. If you aren't already subscribed to him, go over there, subscribe, as if he doesn't already have enough subscribers. You know what? Subscribe to me. But no, seriously, go check out that Indonesia episode. Let me know what you think. I'd love to have some feedback. And I'm sure in the future here, on one of these episodes of Monday Maps, I'll delve into the specifics of how I made one of those. All right, I hope you enjoyed the episode. And if you have any other requests for any other styles of maps, I'd love to hear it down in the comments section. And as always, if you like the video, leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.